Okay, we're good.
All right, good deal. Well, Jake, you really kind of explained why we're here while we were getting a little technical difficulties all straightened out. I'm Ray Allegrezza with IFRA, and I'm here with Steve Allegrezza, your executive director, and the guy that we really want to talk to, Jake Freedman, who's the CEO of Dover. And we were talking during market about how many reps and retail, well, let's face it, how the whole industry is struggling. We're in a very interesting position with tariffs that are moving targets. People don't know what to do, how to do it. And in speaking with Jake, I was pleasantly surprised that the retailers and reps that he are working with are outproducing. And I said, well, we should talk about that. And Jake, if you'd be willing to share what's working, really, isn't that the heart of what we all want to know? Best practices, what's working. So, Steve, with that, why don't you take it away and kick off with the first question?
Yeah, Jake, thank you so much for making time for us today. Look, we'll get started with the easy one. We'll give you a layup here. If you could just start by explaining, you know, tell us who you are, tell us a little bit about Dover, and then tell us, what you're hearing from your retail customers about their current pain points and just some of the hurdles that they're facing today. And give us
Yeah,
kind of an overview.
1000%. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Jake Freedman, based in New Jersey. I run a company called Dover Media. We're the world's largest provider of Shopify websites in the home furnishings industry. We're experts in SEO, in digital advertising, in website optimization, and in-store tools like kiosks. We're partnered with major vendors like Ashley Furniture, Furniture of America, Nectar, Coaster, and about 200 other companies. We're seeing some really big challenges these days. Okay. There are tremendous time constraints and lack of internal expertise. We were talking before about how some of the changes that we're seeing these days are just happening at a much faster level. So today, in today's day and age, we're seeing sales cycles going, 2, 3 days at a time, a week at a time. Previously, we'd have months to run a sale. Now it's like a 2, 3 day sale. And so things are moving just a lot faster, and time is not on the side of the dealer. There's also a big overwhelming status with technology. So there's a big failure when it comes to adapting to current platforms, even getting on like a Zoom call or things like this, not all of our reps and retailers are able to do. And we're seeing that this is just, part of doing business these days is how can technology enable you? There's a lot of chaos that we're seeing as well. There's fragmentation with the tools and the tactics to make a sale. The dealers are unsure of where they should be focusing. And we're really running into a lot of retailers that are just not too sure on what they should do next. A lot of reps that are not too sure on what they should do next. And we're here to share very transparently, very openly, very honestly where we are seeing the wins today. The idea is that we're this provider for thousands of retailers in North America, and where we have wins are that on any given day we have a dealer who's having the best sales day of their life. Right? It's just the law of averages. If you have 1,000 people in the room, one of them is going to be having a great day at least. And so, what we're going to be sharing today are some of these wins so that maybe you can take it to your retailers and be able to help them win as well. And we can all do this together. So we're today going to be talking about simplifying, doubling down on visibility, trust, and the digital product experience. And so, we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth as to what's working in retail today and ways that you might be able to take it to your retailers as well. I've also pinned our website in the chat here. And if there are any questions that you guys have, also drop my email address in here. More than welcome to send me an email. And then I'm also putting my cell phone number in here if you want to text or call.
All right, Jake, great. With that, let's start with the premise that they live or die at retail. What happens at retail makes or breaks the day. So let's not do a super drill down, but let's do a 500 point, bullet point. What are some of the top challenges that you see retailers facing? And then to your point, can you segue down into some of the effective tactics that can overcome those obstacles?
100%. So that's a really, really good point. We live and die by retail. Okay. We build all these websites, but e-commerce is not the direction that we're advising for people to go, which is it's such an interesting place to be. What we see in large ticket purchases, whether it's your home, whether it's your car, whether it's the furniture that goes inside of your home, you still need to kick the tires. So retail is not going anywhere. Okay, let's be very clear. We are retail first. The brick and mortar store is where we want to be extending our focus, and our job is solely to sell more furniture. Okay? So the biggest challenges that we're seeing today are going to be number one in time. Now, a lot of the retailers that we work with, and as the reps, I'm sure you guys see this all the time. You go into the store, you have an appointment, and your retailer, the owner, is sitting there trying to make sure that there's cash in the register. They're trying to walk a salesperson through, or through they're trying to sell a set that's on the floor. They're looking to make sure that the deliveries are coming through okay. They're handling a damage case on the side. They're ordering parts. They're making sure that their delivery people are not stealing from them. They're trying to make sure that their rent is paid, that everything inside is great. Sometimes they're even the plumbers. They're unclogging the toilets in the back. Your dealer has 1,000 things to do already. And we're coming to them, we're saying, now you get to do something else. There's a challenge to this, okay? And so the way that we're seeing this big challenge is that it is so overwhelming to a lot of the dealers that we work with to go in and have the conversation of, hey, you guys need to be selling more. Okay. So here's what we're seeing that is the biggest challenge is that there's no time to do anything. Okay. So these guys are swimming at the water level at their nose, and that the technology and the sales cycles are changing so fast that it's overwhelming. They're like already at the water line, and the water is rising and it's happening fast. So here's what we're seeing that's working. Okay. This is what's working. First and foremost, we're going to start and this is all under the idea that we are all on the same page here, that we're driving sales in store. Okay. This is to drive more sales in store. Very, very easily, we are going to start in the first place that a new customer is going to look for you. And that is in your fast loading mobile first website. Okay. When somebody is looking for furniture near me, where do they go? The first place is to Google. They might drive past a store, they might see a billboard, they might hear something on the radio, they might see something on television. But for a retailer that is looking to make sure that they get new customers in the door, it always starts from the website. So, got to make sure that they have a fast loading mobile first website. Second is that we want to make sure that there are clear promotions. What are we running for Father's Day? What are we running for 4th of July? Do we have a recliner sale that's going? Do we have a sleep sale that's going? Are we able to make sure that there is a clear promotion as to what this retailer is doing? This is still a promotional market. Doesn't matter how high of a style that it is. You could be selling at CB2 or Our House or Restoration Hardware. They're still running promotions. Everybody needs to be running promotions all the time, okay? And it's got to be clear. Second thing is that how are you able to make sure that your customers or that your dealer's customers can afford this stuff? Purchasing power is at an all-time low. The economic reports that I was reading yesterday are not great, okay? We can all agree that the economy is a little bit tough. So how can we make sure that financing and multiple purchase options are available? Does your dealer have layaway enabled? Does your dealer have easy finance options available? Does your dealer offer split payments? Does your dealer offer easy payment options? Can I tap to pay within the store? Can I tap to pay online even? We also want to make sure that there's local delivery and offers for in-stock furniture, okay? We love to be able to sell what's on the floor and advise what's on the floor. What else is working very well are Meta and Google ad targeting. Okay. So what we're seeing is that the advertising side of the business is a necessity at this point. I want to be so clear here that if you want your dealers to stay in business, and it doesn't matter where they do this, it could be with anyone, they must be running some advertising. We're seeing great success right now with Meta and Google, but the easiest way and the lowest cost way that we're seeing dealers succeed is through reviews, through email, and through SMS, which are all relatively low touch, close to free ways to get in touch with a local community. And so, what is working today, plain and simple, is that your dealers have to have a very easy way to have their potential new customers see and interact with a beautiful brand, with a clear promotion, and with offers to be able to purchase as they make their shopping decision to come into your store.
Okay, well, Jake, you just threw a lot at us, and it sounds like there's some easy low hanging fruit, and it sounds like the underlying message there is okay. Let's make sure you're visible. Let's make sure it's easy. Let's make sure promotions are available. Are there? Can you speak to? Are there any platforms that are outperforming the rest? Does where does like Instagram or TikTok or some of these other platforms fit into the equation? Um, are there any underrated tactics that you haven't mentioned yet? Like just like how do
For
you make
sure.
sure your website can be found on Google? I mean, like the things like that are
I love it.
yeah.
I don't know if anyone's able to chat in as we're going through, but do we have any reps that are in the audience today?
Oh, I see
Awesome.
a bunch of them.
Cool. That's a great thing. Now, based on your market, let's say you're in Chicago and you're selling, I don't know, Acme furniture. If you type in Acme furniture in Chicago, where does your dealer show up? Do they show up? If they're not, then that means that you're losing sales on their behalf because when people are searching for those keywords or for that line and your dealer doesn't show, oh no, there's a huge missed opportunity. So I'm going to give a really simple answer that's going to if you log off right after this, you'll have gotten the meat of things, which I think is a really easy way to do this. The first thing that we want to make sure of is that your dealer is showing up online. Okay? If I Google for whatever furniture company that you're repping in whatever market that you're repping, your dealer must show in Google My Business. Okay, so if you just Google for, let's say the line Acme Furniture, let's say Chicago, Illinois as the city, your dealer must show up. And if they don't, you should get in touch with an expert to help you fix it. The second thing is making sure that your dealer has great reviews, okay? So that there is a 5-star rating or, above a 4-star rating. We say around 4.2 star and up is necessary to do business. But if your dealer is showing up with, a 2.5, 3-star, 3.5-star rating, I'm not going to shop there, plain and simple. It's like I'm going out for dinner that night. I'm going to go out for dinner. I want a great restaurant for a date night or whatever it is. I must choose a great restaurant. And a 3.5 star is not a great restaurant. Why is a 3.5 a great star, a great furniture store? It's not. So being able to have a great Google My Business, have a great review score, and that all should be taking you to a great website, most importantly.
Thank
Okay.
you, Jake. Look, the whole purpose of these webinars and the whole purpose of IFRA is to support the reps, make them more knowledgeable, more efficient, and hopefully armed with those two tools, more profitable. So what are some practical steps that the audience here can take to support their retailers in this whole digital dance?
Ray, that's a great question. So, online visibility drives product velocity, plain and simple. The reps can add value and increase sales by guiding these digital conversations. As a rep, it is your responsibility, whether you like it or not, to be able to support your dealer in any way. And a huge part of the conversation on how sales are being made is by being able to support the digital side of the business, which is 90+% of how new customers are finding your dealer's stores. So here's how you can support. The reps can support digitally very easily. It's with a simple question. May I ask to see the products on your website? Can I see my products on your website? If I'm the rep for Acme, I would love to see my Acme product on your website. Is it there? Is it not there? Is it priced correctly? Is it built out with colors and variants and filters? Am I able to sort through it compared to another company? It's a great start to a conversation. You can also start the conversation by asking to check the Google presence of your line. I would love to see how my Acme furniture in Chicago, Illinois is presented. And by having this conversation either face to face with the dealer or over the phone with screenshots, you have a really easy opportunity to see how you are being represented by your dealer to their customers. That's a really easy way to start the conversation. Now, what we advocate for, of course, and this is with a grain of salt, of course, But you also, as a rep, have the opportunity to help your retailers connect with companies like Dover to be able to increase their business. If your dealer is not showing up well for your line, if your dealer is not showing up well for their market, connecting them with an expert is the best possible step to improving their business and ultimately yours. Listen, we are here to drive product velocity, okay? And the easiest way to do it is by guiding the digital conversation either to the dealer that can handle it themselves or to an expert that will work with you in partnership to sell more furniture.
Hey,
Okay.
Jake, can I jump in? I want to ask one question. And then Steve, I
Well,
know.
no, I was going to say, I think we're going in the same direction, but go
All
for it.
right. A lawyer once told me that as a lawyer, you never ask a question of somebody on the stand that you don't already know the answer to. So when you said, you should walk in and say to the dealer, hey, I'd love to see how I'm doing on Google. Would you also advise then that our reps do that homework before they go into the store so they kind of don't get caught with their pants down?
Of course. And there are so many reps that we have the opportunity of working with. And I can tell you three consistent things that they do to have high velocity teams. The first thing is that they maintain a list of all of their dealers and what each of them are doing at any given time. If I have a market, and I'm so sorry to be picking on one city. So let's move from Chicago to Los Angeles, let's say. Let's say I'm a rep in Los Angeles for uh, Meridian Furniture, or whatever it is. You know, I would keep a list of all of my dealers and whatever they're running at any given time. So I have 50 dealers that are in my book of business. I would have the date that I last visited, the last conversation marked in it, and I'd also say that, as of June 6th, Tony's Furniture is running a Father's Day promotion that starts next week for a recliner sale that's 15% off, and they're offering no interest financing for 6 months. And I would do this across the board. They also are including what sort of tools is this dealer using? My dealer is using a Dover website. They're using a Dover advertising package. They're using a Dover kiosk tool set. They're doing all of these they're working with with these different partners to be able to drive the business. So the high velocity rep teams are doing these three things. One is they're maintaining a list of what each of their dealers are doing at any given time. Two is that the high velocity reps are researching the red flags of what a dealer could be struggling with, whether it's a poor or slow website, whether it's inconsistent branding, whether it's lack of SEO, that they're not showing up well in local searches, the lack of reviews or visible ad campaigns. The high velocity reps are also including the potential issues that their dealers might be running into. It's so important in today's day and age to not only understand the successes and what your dealers are up to, but the areas that they may be faltering in, so that as a rep, we have the opportunity to support them. Okay. Knowing the answer, and like you said, Ray, if you're on the stand or if your attorney that's asking the questions, you can certainly ask questions that help accelerate your case here. And so understanding some of the red flags and using these pain points as an opportunity to do higher velocity is something that high velocity rep teams are doing across the country today. So the first is that they're maintaining a list. The second is that they're maintaining what issues that their dealers may be running into. And the third is that they're able to go to their dealers with the tools that will help them. That the rep job has evolved significantly. And a lot of the people on this call, I'm sure, have seen this change over the years. When a lot of people first started, and I'm sure, you can thumbs up or whatever in the chat or on your screen if you agree with this. But when a lot of people first started, your job was to sell furniture, right? You're a furniture rep. Your job is to sell furniture. Well, now the job has changed. Not only are you responsible for selling furniture, but you're responsible for finding the right delivery company, and you're responsible for finding the right financing company, and you're responsible for finding the right marketing partner, and you're responsible for finding the right technology vendor. And so, as a rep, I call this the Batman style tool belt. Your job is now to have this Batman tool belt where, no matter what Batman needs at any time, there's something on his belt that he can use. If it's, he has the pepper spray and the grappling hook and he has all these different fun things. And as a rep, it is your job to be educated on the partners that your dealers could work with that would support their business. And the easiest way to do that is by attending webinars like this with solution providers and by researching folks that your dealers are working with that they're having success with, and by asking and staying connected within the community, like within IFRA, as to the partners that we work with that are supportive towards whatever the dealer's ailments may be. And so we want to make sure that we're maintaining lists of all of our dealers and what they're doing at any given time and their partners. We want to understand the red flags that they may be running into. And we also want to make sure that we have a list of solutions that we can support our dealers with at any given time. So when the time is right and you're walking in and you have a meeting about something and the dealer is saying, I'm complaining about my delivery, about my financing, about my website, whatever it is, that you have the right partner to refer them to, or that you can support them personally in fixing this issue to sell more furniture.
Okay. Great, Jake. Well, I think between you and Ray, you kind of answered my next question as to, if you do come across those red flags, how do you or what would those red flags look like? And then, of course, if you were to pull something out of that Batman's tool belt, as you called it, obviously an introduction to you and your team would be, you know, as simple as, hey, I know a great team that can help you with this, right? Maybe the good segue now would be to talk about, all right, so for the reps that are on the call, now it's getting into best practices. How can you do that? How can you handle, the homework part of it, the research part of it? Can you share some best practices for the reps that do want to take the extra step and check on those, their retailers' visibility and kind of their digital marketing health and wellness check, I guess. Give us some best practices on how to check that online visibility.
Absolutely. So we're all sitting on a computer now or from our phone. We're all connected to a device right now, which is awesome. And today's a Friday. Not a lot of reps that we work with are on the road on Fridays. So this might be a really good day to do a fun exercise after this call. Let's start with checking online visibility for your dealers. Just go on to Google and Google a product plus a store name and see how it shows up. For your top 5 accounts, if you Googled one of your top sellers to them and their store name, are they showing up? If they're not, we got a situation. There's could be tough. We want to make sure
Yeah.
that they're showing up. Okay, so that's part one. Part two is that after you've done this and you have your homework in place, you've seen what's going on, there's always another step to go deeper. We love being able to show analytics on things, whether it's cart abandonments, product reviews, promotional analytics, heat maps, site traffic, conversion rates, return on ad spend, product page performances. There's a bunch more technical stuff that we can get into for optimization purposes. But for a starting point, very easily, just Googling your dealer and your top selling product to them, making sure that it shows up in a nice way is the easiest way for you to sell a boatload more furniture to them.
Okay. Well, that
Perfect.
that makes sense. Again, you're simplifying it down for us all, I think. I mean, are there any recommended tools that you would utilize if you were in the rep's position here, as far as interpreting that analytical data or making sure that when they present this information to their retailer that it makes sense? Or is that something that you guys already do for the retailer that you can work with the rep to present in a meaningful way?
Absolutely. So where we see the biggest lift is that as a rep, you're not necessarily building the furniture yourself, right? You work with an expert company that has a competitive advantage in building furniture, and you sell the furniture to them. The same thing is true with any of these other products. So what we advocate for the reps to go and do is to go to the dealer and have it as a conversation and saying, I know a team that helps stores like yours boost traffic and sell more. Would you like an intro? And getting them connected with an expert, whoever it is the most easy way to help improve the business. Whether there's anything to be done, between the companies, but being able to have an easy conversation where everyone is able to have the opportunity to speak with an expert in the space is the easiest way to make these improvements and to build visibility into ways that the dealer rep relationship can be improved to increase velocity across the sales floor. So, there's a thousand different ways, and I'm happy to go into depth on any of this, whether it's getting access to Google Analytics, to the website backend, to the Google Search Console, to the Google My Business listing. This might be another breakout session or something that we can go towards after our conversation today in a Q&A. But I would start off just by getting a conversation established with an expert at whatever the issue is. So if you're not seeing your product show up for your dealer, having a conversation with an SEO, web, or analytics company that you trust is going to be the easiest way to make sure that that issue is resolved so that you can get back to selling product.
Or maybe the I apologize. What I should have asked is just like what should those key metrics look like that a rep should have the conversation with their retailer about? Like,
Absolutely. So we want to be talking about website traffic, about conversion rate, about return on ad spend, and about performance on special pages like product pages, promotional pages, and contact pages.
okay.
Good. Hey, Jake, let's take this from the top of the mountain down to the retail selling floor. During market, you were telling me about, and I hate that it's an Ashley dealer because he's the 500-pound gorilla, but there was that Midwest Ashley dealer that you guys helped do some product tagging and meta ads. And can you tell us about the process, but more importantly, what the results of those two initiatives were?
Absolutely. So we've stumbled into success a bunch of times. And I wish that there was some secret sauce that I could just give the recipe to. What we see being the most productive, though, is a formula. Okay. So there's a formula for success on this that we've run for tons of dealers. And in this case, we had a really, really cool success story that is applicable for the sales floor. So I had a dealer who was really struggling on their motion product. Okay. Their case goods were great. Their stationery division was great. Their accessory sales were great. Their bedding sales were great. But on motion, the guy just couldn't sell a dang thing. And that's tough because if we're having someone come into the store to furnish their whole home, we got to get some motion involved, you know? So what we did was this. We chose a few products that we thought would sell well. And this is just based on the millions of data points that we have access to. This is all that we do. We just do furniture, right? When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a firefighter. I never thought I'd be selling all this furniture. But listen, everybody has something that they end up being good at. And so we have all these data points from all these other companies, from all these other geographic markets, from even within that Michigan market, we had a lot of interesting information. We said, listen, we're going to focus on three frames. So we focused on three frames. We put up very beautiful product listings on the website. We SEO'd the heck out of them. And we started building out advertisements over Meta for these three frames. And then this was the secret ingredient, is that we had a content um, push of homemade content that we advised for the dealer on how to make to film what was going on in their store for these three sets. And so there was one that got posted by the time that this was a success. There was one video of that we advised for our dealer to make of his niece who was in the store, and she went and she did it. She twirled around and she sat down on one of their motion sets and said, "You can buy today at, the retailer was My Hometown Furnishings. You can buy this set today with a price." She clicks publish on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, goes to sleep. The next day they wake up and it's blown up. They went viral. They had 1 million hits in a day on this, 200,000 plus likes, millions of views. And we already had these beautiful setup product pages for them where people were able to transact. And we had a dealer do $80,000 of one frame from two stores in a month. It was a beautiful, beautiful cash boost to the business. And so what we're advising on is that having a formula in place for success that is based upon results that other people have gotten. We're not reinventing the wheel here. There's no such thing as new here. We're just bringing what has proven to work for 100 years into this new age. And so the tool set has just changed a little bit. People used to run newspaper ads, now they run TikTok ads. But it's the same ad. It's the same message that goes out. It's just the distribution pattern has changed. You used to have a horse and buggy, now you have a car. And so taking what we know has worked throughout the history of the home furnishings business and applying it in intelligent ways to how technology works in 2025 is a proven way to be able to drive more business and to create a better relationship between the rep and the dealer to ultimately sell more furniture.
Amazing. Yeah. So look, let's kind of come full circle and let's talk to me about just like what are if the people on this call could walk away with just a few actionable items, what are the top 3-4 things that they could take away to help their customers be more successful?
Absolutely. So I'm going to give a precursor to the answer on this, and I'm just going to give a reminder that Dover helps in running ads, optimizing website, and tagging products. We help with launching site updates and promotions quickly. We improve visibility and sales through data and we are Shopify experts, which is the world's largest commerce platform. Here are the 3 takeaways for the reps today. Okay. Google your line and the store's name. You should be bringing up digital in every sales call, and you should be introducing tools like Dover early into your relationship. So, and I'm dropping this into our chat as well, is that we want to make sure that we're hammering this idea of Googling your line and the store's name, maybe with one of your favorite products to sell. We want to be bringing up digital in every single sales call. What promotion are you running? How are you getting it out there? What type of advertising are you running for this? You just purchased a container. You're interested in buying a container. How are you going to sell it? Do you think people are, the days of people just thinking that they need to buy furniture and going to the local store are done. Look at the sales numbers. It's done. Okay. So if you want to buy a container of my product, that's great. I'm going to help you sell it. You need to be running a digital campaign. You need to be having some Facebook, Instagram, Google, TikTok, OTT, like television advertising, SEO, reviews, text messages, emails, whatever it is. But having digital in every single conversation is very helpful if you want to have that dealer buy and sell that container from you. And then bringing up tools like Dover early into your relationship are super, super helpful because we never know when that call is going to come in. Okay. We oftentimes will have sales cycles of 3, 4, 5 years where we've been talking to a dealer. They've been brought up to us several times. We've had the conversation a zillion times. And just that someday the wind blows in the right direction and we get the opportunity to support them. And so it's a really fun part of this life and this role. Just so you guys know as well, Dover as a company, we're no contract, we're no startup fee, we're month to month on payments. We don't charge anything up front. It's free to have a conversation with us. It's free to have a series of conversations with us. It's free for us to build something out for your dealer. Only when your dealer is actually using our products do we charge for services. And so it's really helpful to introduce these concepts early into the relationship so that you give the necessary power and firepower to the sales side of the business so that you can continue doing velocity with your dealers.
Great. Nobody has a crystal ball, but you probably have better eyes than I do. So where do you see the retail marketing of home furnishings headed in the next 6 to 12 months with all the confusion and tariffs? And, what role will things like smarter automation and AI generated this and that do to separate the digital divas from the digital losers?
Great. That's a great question. That's a really good question, right? So here's where we're going. This is my crystal ball. And my ear to the ground. I live behind a computer, so I'm cool at seeing this type of stuff. Is that we're seeing changes in the market in the next 6 to 12 months that are going to drastically change the business. Number one, automation. Okay. Super, super easy. The amount of labor that goes into delivering world-class tool sets has totally changed. Years ago, we were responsible for supporting American Furniture Warehouse for their SEO, for the way that Google has a relationship with American Furniture Warehouse. That was our job. We hired teams and teams of people. There were 20 some odd people at any given time clanking on a keyboard all day long to be able to make sure that American Furniture Warehouse and Google kept the best possible relationship. Okay. Now, with automation, we have no one that's working on it. There's a computer that does it, and it runs indefinitely, and it never takes a sick day, and it never needs time off, and it never gets stuck in traffic, and it never, has a bad day and doesn't want to work. The automations that exist in this industry have reduced the labor and the cost for delivering world-class service tenfold. And we see that to continue. Maybe it will be, reducing cost by 100-fold and increasing productivity by 1,000-fold. But the automations that exist in today's world make this democratized for so many people. I was just in Toronto for the Shopify Editions conference. It's the nerd conference for Shopify. There's 6,000 people clanking on keyboards writing code in a room together. And their CEO, who did $900 billion in business last year, gets up on stage and brought something very interesting that I don't think anyone here has heard before. And so I'm going to share it with you, is that we talk about what is to come. This question of what's on the horizon for us is always present. And what was brought up by the CEO of this almost $1 trillion company was so brilliant. He said that to see where the market goes, you can look at where luxury is. What do the rich people have today? That is exactly what will be brought to everyone in the coming months and years. So back in the day, having a private driver was reserved only for the ultra wealthy. To get a private driver to take you from place to place was something that only uber rich people could do. And now there's Uber to do it, and Lyft and whatever else. So, a private driver was something that only rich people had. Now everybody can have because of these apps and things. The same thing is going to be true for private shopping or for boutique level shopping. So having a private shopper or having a stylist or a designer is something that previously only rich people could do. Now with technology, everyone will have this. So having number one, smarter automation is what's going to be happening in the next 6 to 12 months. The second is going to be through an AI enhancement of targeting and sales promotions. So knowing what your dealer's customer is looking for before they even know what they're looking for is one of the enablements that technology gives us today. And with the way that these technologies have been growing, it makes it so much easier and so much more affordable to deliver upon. So we're seeing a lot of success in being able to advocate for our dealers and our reps to invest in the technology solutions that give a higher a better and improved shopping experience, a better mousetrap for our dealers. And so we believe that in the next 6 to 12 months, it's not just going to be the rich stores or the high-end stores that offer private shopping and a better shopping experience. It's going to be everyone that can offer this. And then the third thing that we think that's heading towards us with retail marketing in the next 6 to 12 months is that, as you said, Ray, there's tariffs, there's import struggles, there's economic challenges. The gap between digital leaders and laggards are going to be widened. Okay. We see that there's going to be an even wider gap between the guys that are crushing it and the guys that are just staying afloat. And so we want to make sure that we can keep everyone in business because our whole industry depends on it. We want to help accelerate results for our dealers, regardless of where they stand in the marketplace. And we believe that this is possible. And we know that this is possible by advocating for transformation and success in the digital first arena.
Perfect. That's great. Steve, I'm turning it back to you.
No, well, I'm going to be the first to say thank you to you, Jake. But before we wrap or anything like that today, I know just to make sure that everyone has your contact information, you shared that in the chat, and then also I want to make sure that we open up the floor for questions or for a little bit of Q&A if you've got time for it.
Absolutely. I'm
Perfect.
also going to drop my calendar link into the chat. So if you want to book a meeting or, I just want to give as many options as possible if someone would like to connect. It's really valuable just to even have a conversation. Our job is to sell more furniture, and we are only able to do this with the reps. So having conversations and being able to drive results for the dealers is how we keep this industry not only alive, but prospering.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, look, if anyone wants to drop questions in the chat or if they'd like, they can. Jake, would it be easiest to have them just unmute and ask the question?
Sure. Please go on ahead, or you can react to the message. You can drop it in the chat. You could book a meeting, send an email, text message, carrier pigeon. Uh, Floor is open.
Questions, right?
Okay.
That was
I have
easy.
a quick one. I mean, what do you do when the rep is digital savvy and his customer is digital resistant?
That's such a good question. I think that being able to demonstrate and spin sell this is the most important thing. So I don't know if everyone here is familiar with spin selling, but what we want to make sure of is that the dealer knows the consequences for failure to act, for inaction. Okay. So assuming that you are going to be obtuse towards how the market is today, and you don't, you're not, maybe you're not savvy, maybe, there's two responses that we mostly get. We get a dealer who is unaware of what's going on, and that's the reason why they have yet to adapt. We have dealers who are aware of what's going on, they just don't want to. They don't see it's necessary. I've been in business for 50 years. I've never needed to do any of this stuff. Why do I need to do this today? And the question is it's and the answer is not that, you need to do anything. You actually don't need to do anything in this situation. However, you have all of the stores around you doing this. You have Wayfair doing this. You have Ashley doing this. You have Raymore Flanagan doing this. You have Rooms to Go doing this. You have Nebraska Furniture doing this. You have City Furniture doing this. You have every single major in the world selling more furniture because they decided to take this leap towards a digital first world. And so mind you, we're driving foot traffic here. Okay, we're getting people into the store to buy in store. We love people buying in store. That's the best possible reaction. So to get someone in the store, the way that people are shopping is just changed. It's not that we're telling you that you need to, do anything here, but if you want to take advantage of what's happening in today's day and age, it's always worth a conversation to see what is working for other retailers, and maybe there's something that you can take from it. Um, you can continue driving the horse and buggy, or you can get an automobile. Choice is yours. One gets better gas mileage, but it's a little slower and eats hay. But I think we have some questions in here as well. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna leave it to just close off on this first question of what do you do when the rep is digitally focused and the dealer is not, is just to use some spin selling and talk through some of the pain points that they're creating for themselves by failing to adapt. And then Steve, Ray, is it okay if we start taking questions from the chat?
Please.
Of course. So Johnny asked the first question of what is the price per month for the entry level? Dover offers a variety of different price points. We have pricing starting at $49 a month for some of our tools. So we're really easy to work with. We have no startup fee. There's no contract. It's month to month on payments. And then we have enterprise packages that are worth, that we charge a lot more for. So we're always happy to have a conversation with you, Johnny, and with your dealer just to find what's best for them. And so that, everyone's able to sell more furniture in a positive return on investments mindset.
Thank you, Jake. And actually, Dan asked an amazing question, and he actually read my mind. As my background was in e-commerce before I started with the association, and oftentimes I had to rely so heavily on the manufacturer and their digital assets and their ability or their tech savviness, I guess. But Dan asked, what tools or digital assets do manufacturers or reps need to provide to the retailers for them to be successful?
Great question, Dan. And, we're requesting for the manufacturers to provide as much information as possible. Now, sometimes we get lucky and we get a photo and a description and a name and a SEO title and tags for what color it is. And, the it's pewter, but it could go down as white if you need to collate the tags or condense them. There's minutia that's involved, is what I'm trying to get at. But what's wonderful about this space is that we're starting to see automation and AI being tremendous enablers of success. where we now have the ability to go into Gemini or ChatGPT or Grok or whatever Claude or whatever your AI of choice is, or your LLM of choice, and go on and take a file from your manufacturer and enrich it in a way that allows your dealer to sell more, and maybe some of your other dealers to sell more as well. So I had a conversation this week with a rep who's a buddy of mine out in Pennsylvania, and he started repping a new company that he's really excited about, and he's got some really big placements in. And he was asking, I don't know what to do. I'm getting a booklet. He has a booklet from his line showing what he's able to sell, and he's able to get the placements, which is great. But he's like, I want to get the word out. They have a website and they have a newsletter and they have an advertising campaign. How do I get this all enabled? What do I do here? We got him set up on this using AI in 5 minutes. It was awesome. And he's able to sell a boatload more now and provide this to the dealer. And the dealer has its own teams. It's a A-level top 100 account. And he was able to integrate this line in a very easy and fast way that previously would have taken months of hard labor to do. And in 5 minutes, a computer just did it for us. So what we look for assets are going to be as detail-oriented, data-driven product listings as possible. And the tools to use are going to be your AI of choice and dropping it into a format that's accepted across many platforms. And in our case, we love using the Shopify format because it is the same across any industry. So if you are on a Dover website, which is built in Shopify, it means that if you're, let's say, a customer goes into the store and they're looking at an item and they see something that they like and they've previously shopped on another Shopify website, which they have because Kim Kardashian, like a ton of very famous websites and people that sell product are using Shopify, all that information is stored already. So, um, if you've purchased previously from any Shopify website, when you go to buy again from another Shopify website, all of your info is saved. Your credit card, your address, your preferences on things are already included. So we are very fond of this Shopify format for products. And to find it, book time with me, send a text, an email, or you can go on Google and find what the Shopify format for products look like. And you can use an AI model of choice to help fit your products in as much fidelity as you see necessary or as helpful. And I see Matthew asked a really good question as well, which is that, you guys are able to initiate the conversation, but the detailed info does come directly from the manufacturer. You're not going to know the seat depth on your sofa, and I don't expect anyone to take a ruler or a tape measure out to measure from the arm to the seat to find the depth for, a product listing. So I think that efficiently exchanging information between the manufacturer and the retailer is going to be done in two different ways. The first is directly through the rep. Okay, so as the rep, it is your responsibility to take the information from your manufacturer and make it consumable for your sale for your dealer. Okay. The other side of it is to have an intermediary like as in a company like Dover that handles that process for you. So at Dover, our primary product is not necessarily a website or advertising or SEO or text messages or emails or app development. Our primary product that we offer is going to be the data side of things. So our ability to deliver consistently excellent data for your dealer is the number one thing that we work on, and we're really strict about it too. Like we and I know a lot of the reps personally on this call, and the conversations, over the years and months have been that if we cannot execute on excellent data for your line, that it's like the entry point to doing business. So having a good exchange of information is the easiest and most supportive way to drive business for your dealer. And to do so using the tool sets that we've discussed already, or a expert company or solution provider like Dover is going to be the best way that you can maintain and facilitate that relationship in a good way.
Uh, Jake, as a kind of a follow-up to that, I mean, I know plenty of the reps on this call as well, and I can probably read some of their minds and just say like, well, what do you do if the manufacturer hasn't really taken the time to invest in that sort of content or the digital assets that are needed for the rep to to do their job. Do you also work with manufacturers and help them with that?
All the time, all the time. I cannot tell you how many APIs that we've written for companies or for manufacturers. Um, Here's where it gets fun, is that there's this dance that has happened since the dawn of time between the furniture manufacturer and the furniture sales rep, where the furniture sales rep says, I need to be able to sell this product better. I need a whatever. I need a sell sheet. I need a photo. I need an advertisement. I need a product page on a website now, you know? And so it's just it's a tale as old as time. And so that dance of requesting from your line assets to help you sell more is always going to happen. However, nowadays the ball is in our court. As a rep, you finally have the ability to make a meaningful impact because of all the tools that are available. If you need better product photos, it exists through AI. You need room shots, it exists through AI. If you need enriched product descriptions, it exists through AI. If you need to know how to categorize an item so that it's easiest to sell, it exists through AI. And so if you ever need any support in how to have these types of conversations, or you'd like an example of how this works, I'm always happy to show folks how to do this on a, it's usually going to be different case by case, but it's something that we're really familiar with and doing and is a big part of how we spend our days here at Dover.
Thank you, Jake. Well, let's give it another minute, see if any other questions come in. If not, we'll wrap it up for the day.
Jake, I just want to say I'm not a rep, but I learned a lot. So thank you.
Good, good. That makes me feel happy. You know, the big mission for us here is that we just can sell more furniture and the rising tide lifts all boats. Whatever we're discussing today, there's no secrets in this industry. This is an honest and transparent place. Our mission here is just to be able to sell more. And the only way that we're able to sell more is by making sure that the retailers stay profitable. Okay, that velocity continues, and that regardless of what happens in the economic climate, that the dealer will be okay. And with how fast things are moving right now, our positioning as the folks that are doing this, it's moving at a pace that I've never seen before. I've never seen velocity like this in terms of change and challenges that exist for the dealer. Every day it feels like there's a new thing that comes out that someone is doing that is selling more furniture than the guy down the street. And we just want to make sure that we can share all that information with the reps so that they can bring it to their stores and sell more as well.
Well, Jake, I'm sorry. I'm going to play devil's advocate then and just say, are you noticing any emerging trends? I know we talked about the trends of what's working in furniture marketing right now, like high level, but just for fun here at the as
Yeah.
we wrap this up, are you noticing any trends on certain product categories that are doing better than others, or certain platforms that are outperforming others as far as like what's getting the best ROI? I mean, just this is shoot from
Yeah,
the hip. I mean, give me what you got.
I got you, buddy. So we're seeing smaller store footprints. Okay. We're seeing reduction in inventory that's being floored. We see an increase in inventory that's available for purchase. So making sure that dealers have relationships with multiple lines or multiple product categories is very helpful. We want all of this information to be in one place. So having a like a Dover sign, like a kiosk in the store that has transparent information from an American company has been a really big push for a lot of retailers. We're seeing that marketing is a higher expense than ever. So we're advocating that fixed costs are can be reduced as much as possible. So previously and in this marketing conversation, we're counting two primary things. So, when we're deciding how much are we going to spend on marketing this month, because that's a must in any business. Anyone who says I'm not spending any money on marketing has a small business. It's plain and simple. They could have a much bigger business if they were spending money on marketing. It's just nature. It's laws of life. Um, the marketing conversation, how much money can I spend on marketing, is going to be a calculation of what your expenses are to keep your store open, plus marketing expense. So, there's a McDonald's in Times Square. The McDonald's in Times Square doesn't do any marketing. There's no flyers that they send out. There's no mailers that they have. There's no Facebook campaign that they're running. It's because there's a million people that walk past that store every single day. Okay. Their rent is through the roof, but that's part of their marketing expense. They have a great location. The same thing is going to be true in the converse way for the McDonald's in Topeka, Kansas. The McDonald's in Topeka, Kansas does not have a million people walking past every single day. So they send out mailers, they run television ads. There's a mobile app that they have that has push notifications enabled. They send out text messages and emails with their deal of the day. And so the percentages of their revenue are most likely going to be similar, though. So we're saying that about 15% of revenue should be going towards your a combination of your real estate expense, so whatever it is for your rent or for your mortgage or for, keeping your lights on, plus your advertising. And so that's going to be Facebook, Instagram, Google, TikTok, web banners, or billboards, radio, television, the list goes on of what the advertising can be. Mailers could be anything. We're agnostic as to what the ad is as long as it works. But we want around 15% to be towards marketing. And by reducing the store size and the rent in that store, we're seeing that dealers that have a higher percentage of that 15% going towards not the real estate, but towards the marketing, being significantly more successful than guys that don't.
Great. All right.
Yeah, there's a big push right now in the industry, and you guys probably see this all over the place. But in terms of making the flexibility much higher, so like offering appointments on a website to have people come in and shop, offering style guides or completed room packages, we're seeing a lot of success with. So, we're advocating for our dealers to maintain a smaller store footprint, having a good, better, best stationary motion case goods bedding lines. So we're looking at 12 different groups in a store and then a kiosk to buy anything that, might not be off the shelf as very successful. We're seeing like a lot of challenges with container business unless it's negotiated properly. So container business, especially during COVID, was really big. So a lot of dealers that we work with were educated to buy a container of whatever they could get their hands on that's at a good price. And they'd figure out how to sell it because people are just buying anything at that point. Nowadays, purchasing a container can be a little bit risky unless there's a strategy in place. So prior to the purchase of any container, we advocate for our reps to go and work with the dealer on a marketing program to go sell that container before it even lands. So I have a container of dining room chairs that I can get to you for a really good price. We'll make a Facebook, Instagram ad for you. We'll allocate $1,000 towards advertising campaign or whatever the number is. And the second that it's delivered, or the second that this lands, we have it all queued up and ready to go. We just press publish on the ads, and you're going to be able to sell that container a lot faster, more reliably. And next time that we have this conversation, I'm going to get you to buy 2 containers from me because of how well the first one went.
Well, Jake, that's you gave me more than I was hoping for. That's fantastic. But I do think now's a good time to wrap it up for the day. So I want to thank you, Jake, again for making time to sit down with us, and thanking and to thank everyone who took the time to sit down and tune in today. I thought this was incredibly helpful, and certainly, like Ray said, I certainly learned a lot about what's working and what reps should be looking for and how they can educate their customers. To call it out again, Jake's contact information and some of the key points that he made are in the chat here. We did record this webinar, so we'll be putting it out on our YouTube page or social medias and send it all for you guys to review after the fact. But Jake, I couldn't say thank you enough. So on behalf of all of us that are here and all of us at IHFRA, thank you so much for making time today, and I'll give you the last word.
Thank you so much. Well, I really want to thank IHFRA for the opportunity to present. I want to thank the reps for giving us the opportunity to sell more furniture. And going into the rest of 2025, please, guys, just Google your line in the store's name. It's going to help you sell a lot more furniture. Bring up digital in every single sales call and introduce tools like Dover early into these relationships so that your dealers are able to sell more furniture. I also have a follow-up email that I'll send out to Steve and Ray, and if you feel comfortable forwarding to the guests, I think it'd be very helpful.
We're happy to do it.
Love it. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.